Yet another season of Heartland has come and gone, which means that it's time for the recap of this season's final episode. And boy, was the episode packed with unexpected surprises and heartfelt moments. After Lou's life-threatening accident, the family rallied to support her, while Amy worked tirelessly to help Lou's horse, Stetson, recover from his trauma. In the meantime, the open house served as a backdrop for personal revelations. Nathan and Amy confronted their feelings, Caleb made peace with his, Tim revealed a surprising decision, and Katie found clarity about where she truly belongs. So, if you want to hear about everything that happened in this episode, then keep on listening to this recap of Heartland Season 18, Episode 10. The episode picked up right where the last one ended, with Caleb sprinting to fetch the ambulance while Amy was desperately trying to wake Lou back up. We also saw Lisa, Jessica, and Katie rush to Lou's side, and Tim and Jack return home, puzzled about the absence of the family at the ranch. Though Lou was unconscious, luckily, her pulse remained strong, giving everyone hope. And after Caleb showed them the way, the ambulance arrived quickly and took Lou to the hospital with Amy by her side, while the rest of the family anxiously awaited updates. Fortunately, the show didn't keep us in suspense for long, because the next shot after the show's intro was Lou waking up at the hospital with Peter and Katie by her side. Lou's leg was broken, and she had sustained a head injury resulting in some brain swelling, so she had to stay at the hospital for a while for observation. But her loved ones were right there with her. Deeply affected by Lou's accident, Katie told her mom that she didn't want to fight anymore, a sentiment that not only gave Lou much-needed comfort, but also brought the mother and the daughter closer together. Later, Amy, Jack, and Tim also visited Lou in the hospital. And during their visit, Lou reflected on the accident, admitting how alone and vulnerable she had felt, and told them about the shift in perspective her near-death experience had given her. Lou confessed that while she was lying on the ground and waiting for help, her thoughts drifted to her loved ones rather than the family's ongoing feud with Nathan, which prompted Lou to acknowledge that she had taken the rivalry too far and vow to listen to whatever plan Jack and Tim had to mend fences with Nathan. And at the end of their visit, Lou also apologized to Amy for putting her in the position of having to choose between Nathan and her family. In return, Amy reassured Lou that the decision had been hers to make, and the sisters shared a heartfelt reconciliation. As Lou recovered, she had a call with Georgie to assure her daughter that there was no need for Georgie to fly home. And then Peter delivered the good news. Lou's MRI results were clean, and she could go home with strict instructions to rest. However, Lou's vow to rest didn't last long, because she was already making plans for Heartland's open house on her way home from the hospital. Although the family was hesitant to host such a big event so soon after Lou's accident, Lou was insistent that this was the time to bring the community together and to show the people of Hudson that, at its core, the Heartland Ranch is still all about healing horses, family, and community. And that was a message that Jack, Tim, and Amy could get behind. So the planning for the open house began. Heartland's open house event really served as the centerpiece of the episode, showcasing the family's resilience and commitment to their community, while also highlighting the family's work at Heartland. So, despite her broken leg, Lou was determined to pull off the event of the season. But early on in the planning process, she encountered a major problem. Finding a band to headline the event proved to be a challenge. Yet, Lou remained determined to make their open house a success, hinging the whole event on Amy's horse demonstration since she couldn't find other entertainment for the event. Something Amy was not happy about, since at that point, she didn't even have an idea what she was going to do for the demonstration. Luckily, Amy casually mentioned Lou's band issue to Nathan, who surprised everyone by calling in a favor. One of Price Beef's old ranch hands had a band, and they agreed to perform at the open house, transforming the event into a true celebration. As the open house began, the ranch came alive with visitors exploring the grounds, enjoying the live music and good food. Amy's demonstration was a hit since she decided to center it on Stetson and Lou, and the crowd watched in awe as Amy helped Lou reconnect with Stetson, reminding everyone of the special connection between humans and horses. And Jack and Lisa even took a moment to reminisce about Heartland's first open house all those years ago. After all, that was how they first met. So they marveled at how much had changed since then, not just at the ranch, but within themselves. Jack admitted that Lisa had made him more adventurous, while Lisa noted how Jack had introduced her to the joys of being part of a big, loud, loving family, which brought new depth and meaning to her life. The open house embodied everything Heartland stood for: community, connection, love, and family. And it was the perfect backdrop for some of the episode's most poignant moments that I'm going to tell you all about in the rest of the recap. So, let's talk about the first of these poignant moments that happened at the open house: Lou and Stetson finding their way back to each other. Lou was not the only one who was left reeling after the accident. Stetson was shaken too. The normally steady horse displayed signs of unease, so Amy stepped in to help Stetson get better. But it proved to be a more complex process than expected. Determined to help the horse, Amy began working with Stetson, taking him to see some bison to test his reaction to the environment that had frightened him. Yet, Stetson's nerves resurfaced quickly, and Amy had to lead him away from the bison as quickly as possible. She decided to take a break near a creek. However, the grazing cattle nearby spooked Stetson, causing him to take off, leaving Amy, who had dismounted the horse, behind. Luckily, after Lou returned home from the hospital, she was eager to reconnect with Stetson. But their first interaction after the accident was far from smooth. Stetson grew visibly anxious when Lou approached, mirroring the unease Lou felt as the terrible memories of the accident surfaced. And as flashbacks overwhelmed Lou, she left the pen abruptly, telling Amy that she needed to lie down. Clearly, there were some big emotional scars that the accident left behind for both Lou and Stetson. When Amy went to check on Lou and asked her about what happened out there with Stetson, Lou admitted to her sister that during the accident, she had been forced to yell at Stetson and swing the reins at him to get Stetson to leave Lou's side and go find help, something that Lou felt guilty about. However, even when Amy reassured Lou that she could repair her bond with Stetson and told Lou about how Stetson was the one who led Amy and Caleb to Lou, she refused to do so, not wanting to relive the awful memories from the accident again. So Amy figured a different approach was needed. During the open house event, Amy surprised Lou by using Stetson as her subject in her demonstration. Amy started the demonstration by telling the public about Lou's accident and how the once strong bond between the horse and rider was broken because of Lou's need to send Stetson away to find help. And then Amy asked her sister to try bonding with her horse again. Lou was understandably reluctant, but after some words of encouragement from Amy, who told Lou that she was not alone anymore, Lou gave in. With Amy's guidance, Lou faced her fears and worked with Stetson, gradually rebuilding their bond. And then, when it was time for the join-up, Stetson walked to Lou. The crowd cheered as Lou and Stetson repaired their bond. One of my favorite storylines of the episode was the one that brought an emotional conclusion to Amy and Caleb's arc as they found clarity in their relationship. The episode began with Caleb lending a helping hand, first by getting the ambulance to Lou as quickly as possible, and then assisting Amy with Lindy's octopus costume for her play. However, he didn't stick around long, telling Amy that he had to go back to Kelowna because he had Carson for the next few days. Amy understood, of course, and after she told him how much she misses him now that he's not coming through Hudson that often anymore, Caleb took off. But then, on the day of the open house, he unexpectedly showed up at the ranch again, with a confession weighing on his shoulders. Caleb admitted to Amy that he had lied about the change in his flight routes in order to distance himself from her. He had been wrestling with his feelings for Amy and needed space to sort things out. However, Caleb also confessed that this time apart was valuable since it had given him clarity. He now knew that he needed to move on from Amy. And Caleb also shared that he recently had reconnected with someone from his past, someone who just felt right. Amy was initially stunned by Caleb's confession, but also supportive, encouraging Caleb to pursue this new connection. So, later, When Ashley Stanton made a surprise appearance at the open house, it became clear that it was Caleb's ex-wife, Ashley, with whom Caleb had reconnected. And it quickly became evident that their reunion was genuine. Caleb and Ashley danced, talked, and left together, with Caleb taking her on a romantic sunset flight in his plane as their first date. But before Ashley and Caleb departed, Caleb took time to talk to Amy, who reassured Caleb that he wasn't crazy for reconnecting with Ashley. Speaking of reconnecting, we just have to talk about Amy and Nathan's arc in this episode. Since they decided to go their separate ways, Nathan and Amy's romance has been up in the air. This episode, however, finally solved their dilemma by bringing their relationship to an undeniable turning point. Early in the episode, Nathan and Amy's paths intertwined once more when Nathan found Amy walking home when she got stranded while working with Stetson. And after Amy told him about Lou's accident, Nathan offered Amy a ride home, which she accepted. But this brief interaction took a deeper meaning when Nathan sought Amy's help in a matter close to his heart. After his conversation with Jack and Tim during the fishing trip, Nathan decided to go ahead and move his father into an assisted living facility. And knowing Amy's calming effect on his dad, Nathan asked her to accompany them during the transition the next day. Hearing that she could ease the transition, Amy readily agreed, and her presence made all the difference. Overwhelmed by the change, Nathan Sr. initially resisted his move into the care home, but Amy helped him settle in, despite Nathan's dad still thinking that Amy was her mom, Marion. Nathan was immensely grateful for her support, especially after Amy agreed to go to the cafeteria for lunch with Nathan Sr., after he initially refused to go eat when Nathan suggested it. But Nathan still declined Amy's invitation to the open house after Amy told him about how she had no idea what she was doing for her demonstration and how they didn't even have a band booked. Amy understood, of course, since Nathan told her that he probably should spend time with his dad tomorrow. But a conversation with his father changed Nathan's mind. While playing board games with his father, Nathan received a text from Amy thanking him for arranging the band. And since Nathan was smiling while reading Amy's text, it prompted Nathan Sr. to question his son about his feelings for Amy. Even though at first Nathan brushed off his situation as complicated, Nathan's dad wouldn't let it go. So, he questioned his son about this mystery girl since Nathan didn't tell his dad it was Amy, so as not to confuse him. Nathan Sr. asked his son if Amy was the first person he wanted to see in the morning and the last person he thought about before bed. And when Nathan answered the question in the affirmative, his dad told him that there was nothing complicated about it after all. This conversation finally seemed to click something for Nathan because he did end up going to the open house. As the festivities wound down, Amy found a moment of solitude by the lake after seeing her loved ones all coupled up. Luckily, Nathan found her standing alone and, unable to keep his distance any longer, told Amy that staying apart was no longer an option because he loved her. Amy admitted she loved him too, and they sealed the moment with a kiss. These confessions and the kiss marked a new chapter in their relationship, solidifying their connection amid the complexities of their lives. However, they also acknowledged that there were still complications to overcome when it came to their relationship, since Amy asked Nathan what they were going to do about their situation right before he kissed her. Which means that, if the show is renewed for another season, Nathan and Amy's journey will continue to be one of balancing family responsibilities with personal wants. It looks like having to balance family loyalty with his love for Amy will be especially true for Nathan next season, because this episode introduced a new complication for Price Beef and Heartland's tentative truce, and, therefore, also Nathan's relationship with Amy. During this episode, we saw a new player enter the fold with the arrival of Nathan's estranged older sister, Gracie. Gracie's reappearance was unexpected and unwelcome, since it came just as Nathan was settling his father into an assisted living facility. She also arrived with an air of authority that quickly signaled her intentions to shake up the status quo. As the new co-owner of Price Beef, courtesy of their father's power of attorney kicking in, Gracie wasted no time asserting her influence. It was clear that she intended to have an equal say in all major decisions regarding the family business, decisions Nathan had largely been making on his own. And her first skepticism was regarding Nathan's dealings with Heartland. Gracie didn't share Nathan's cooperative vision for working with Heartland Beef, seeing it as making a deal with their competition. She also accused Nathan of being sweet on Amy. Gracie's disdain for the idea of collaboration was palpable as she made it clear that she intended to protect Price Beef's interests by burying Heartland. And Gracie's determination to assert her control even led her to make an appearance at Heartland's open house, introducing herself to Lou under the guise of being just another interested attendee. Lou, unaware of Gracie's identity, was cordial, but it seemed that Lou sensed that Gracie was up to something, and Gracie left with a promise to stick around. Gracie's arrival set the stage for potential complications in the future and clearly signaled that the tensions between Price Beef and Heartland Beef were far from resolved. For a while now, Tim has been grappling with his decision whether to pursue the high-profile rodeo announcing job that would take him away from home for a significant amount of time, or to stay grounded at Heartland, close to his family. And this episode was no different. Although he had already taken the job, Tim managed to postpone the start date of his new gig to prioritize Lou's recovery after her accident. However, the reprieve only gave him more time to weigh the enormity of the decision, especially after he got his schedule and it became clear that the job was more demanding than he had initially thought, requiring him to be away from Heartland for weeks at a time. Jessica, ever supportive, encouraged Tim to follow his dream, assuring him that they would make it work if the job truly made him happy. But Tim wasn't convinced, telling his wife that he was having cold feet due to the big changes that were bound to happen if he embarked on this new path. Tim then received an ultrasound photo from Shane, revealing that Shane and Chloe were expecting Tim's first grandson. And the news struck an emotional chord, prompting Tim to reflect on what truly mattered to him. At the open house, Jack presented Tim with a bolo tie featuring Heartland's symbol as a gesture of pride and congratulations. Tim, in return, used the moment to share his surprising choice with Jack. Tim revealed that he had decided to turn down the rodeo gig in favor of staying closer to home and spending time with his family, emphasizing the importance of being present for his children and grandchildren, especially as they entered new stages in their lives. Later, when Jessica and Tim were dancing at the open house, he asked his wife if she thinks he made a mistake by turning down the new job. But she just reassured Tim that he had made a tough call during a difficult time and reminded him that if he ever changed his mind, it would be a decision for another day, because right now, they should revel in being surrounded by people they love most in the world. And for the final storyline of the episode, after weeks of feeling like she didn't belong at Heartland and contemplating a fresh start in Vancouver, Katie finally found clarity about her future. While Lou was still in the hospital, right around the time she was cleared to leave, Peter handed Katie a letter from the Vancouver Fine Arts School. And it turned out to be an acceptance letter, which should have been exciting, but it left Katie feeling conflicted. After all, while she dreamed of moving to Vancouver to pursue her passion for writing, the recent events made her question whether she was truly ready to leave. Interestingly, Katie's growing connection to Dodger, the horse Amy and Caleb rescued in the previous episode, ended up playing a key role in her decision-making. Early in the episode, while caring for the horse, she reflected on her mistakes, admitting that she felt lost and had hurt people she loved, especially Lou. And throughout the episode, Katie continued bonding with Dodger, finding solace in simply being present with the horse. She was even a little upset when Amy told Katie that Dodger isn't staying at Heartland, but instead, at the request of Dodger's owner, Amy will be looking for a new home for the horse as soon as she can, so Dodger gets to experience a home where he's showered with attention after being locked in a shed for months. This conversation with Amy seemed to help Katie realize some things about herself. So, at the open house, Katie finally had a heart-to-heart with her parents about her future plans. She started off by asking her parents if she could keep Dodger, and then proceeded to tell them that she has decided not to move to Vancouver, surprising both Peter and Lou. Katie then explained that she initially wanted to leave because she felt like she didn't fit in at Heartland. And although, at first, pretending to be older had felt empowering, ultimately, it left her feeling empty. So, instead, she realized that she needed time to just be a kid and figure out who she truly was, without the pressure of defining herself too soon. So, by the end of the episode, Katie was at peace with her decision, solidifying her place within the Heartland family while leaving room for her dreams to evolve in the future. A choice Peter and Lou supported wholeheartedly. This episode nicely tied up loose ends while also setting the stage for exciting new beginnings that could play out in season 19, if we're lucky and CBC renews the show for another season. The open house was more than a community event. It was a symbol of unity, growth, and love. And from Lou's recovery and Tim's surprising decision to Amy and Nathan's reunion, Caleb's closure, and Katie's self-discovery, the episode reminded us why Heartland continues to hold such a special place in our hearts. What did you think of this episode? Did you like how Lou's accident played out? And did you anticipate Katie and Tim's decisions to stay at Heartland? Also, what are your thoughts on the developments in Amy and Caleb's friendship and Amy and Nathan's romance? And were you as excited as I was to see Cindy Busby reprise her role as Ashley Stanton? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And thank you for sticking with me and listening to these Heartland recaps.